Today's learning target is this. I can identify the y-intercept in the slope-intercept form of a linear equation. My slope-intercept form is one that you recognize, or y-intercept form is y is equal to mx plus b. So we have four variables in the slope-intercept form. I have my y, I have m, I have x, and I have b. When we're looking at slope-intercept form, we know that the x and y values have to do with coordinate values on a graph. Right, so my x coordinate and my y coordinate. What does the m stand for? Or what does the m represent? The slope. Good. So my m represents my slope. And what does the b represent? Jacob? The y-intercept. And so if we were to, sometimes it does represent the base depending on how that variable is being used. But in the case of slope-intercept form, it represents the y-intercept itself. All right, so in y equals mx plus b, m represents the slope and b represents the y-intercept. We're going to look at an example. Y is equal to 2x plus 1. So an example, y equals 2x plus 1. My slope in this equation, what is the slope in this equation? Skylar? 2. Good, thank you. This is my slope. Remember, our slope can be expressed as, how can we express our slope? Rise over run. Good. Rise over run. So this would have a rise of 2 and a run of 1. Good. What is my y-intercept here? 1. This is my y-intercept. Now, if we were to talk about the y-intercept as a coordinate, then we would explain or describe this coordinate using an x and y value. So my y-intercept would be 0 and 1. Okay? Whenever we're talking about the y-intercept in terms of the coordinate, the x value is always 0, and the y value is always going to be whatever this numerical value is. So if it's positive 1, that refers to my y value being 1. If you're looking for the y-intercept, all you need to do is set the x value equal to 0. All right? So at 0 and 1, that's the point in the graph where your line is going to be crossing the y-axis or intercepting the y-axis. All right? If I were to throw a football to Skylar and Owen was to intercept, what's happening? So if I'm throwing this marker at Skylar and Owen intercepts it, Owen's getting in the way of that marker, cutting off the pass, and making sure it doesn't go through to Skylar. And so with your y-intercept, that's the point where the line is hitting that y-axis. It's going through the y-axis, but it's going through. It's intercepting that point. All right? So if we were to look at what this looks like on a graph, I have my line of y equals 2x plus 1. Y equals 2x plus 1. And I'm just going to make this a little bit darker so you can see it. There we go. Projector mode. So this is my line y equals 2x plus 1, this the same one that we have on the board. If you're looking for the y-intercept, all you gotta do is find the y-axis. So which is my y-axis? Up and down or side to side? Trinity? Up and down, good. So this is my y-axis. All I gotta do to find the y-intercept is look at where this line crosses the y-axis. So am I looking at this point here? No. I'm looking at this point right here. And this is at, what's my x value here? 0. And then if I go up, that's my y value, that's 1. Alright, so 0 and 1, that's going to be my y-intercept. So if you're to look at our graph, we can find what the y-intercept is, and we can also find what my rate of change is, what my slope is. So in order to find out what the slope is, we could start here, but we want to see how this point changes. So how does this point change as I move up the line? Well, if I look at another point on the line, in this example we already know what our slope is, but I have a rise, I have a rise of 1, 2. So that's where my 2 comes from. And I have a run of 1. So rise of 2, a run of 1. And a y-intercept at 0 and 1. Fist to 5, 1 to 5 here. All right.